Everyone has a story to tell, and every Saturday afternoon, we want to bring you one. I'm Linda Scaparato, and every week, I'll bring you interesting people who share funny, surprising, and memorable stories from their lives, all in English. This show is for people who want to enjoy real English conversations in a relaxed and fun way. So whether you're learning English or just love hearing good stories, you're in the right place. Every episode, our guests will talk about life experiences, how they learned English, how they adapted to Spain, embarrassing moments, unexpected adventures, and much more. So grab a coffee, maybe a beer, or even something stronger, and relax, and let's hear today's story. Today I'm here with a dear friend of mine and someone who got me interested in the radio in the first place. I'm with the famous Fitz. Fitz, thank you for coming on today. Thanks it's weird because, we've always been in the other room with the Hiberian show, where I am the Hibericana.
Hibericana, yeah.
How are you guys doing without me?
Oh, we're just about surviving. We'd like you to come back someday,
I will come back when you guys want me to, Because I bring that feminine touch, I think, to a very masculine
a very, very, four Irish dudes. Yeah. We need an Irish American lady with us. Yeah.
That's me. And so, Fitz, you just had a birthday recently. It was 2 days ago?
2 days ago, June 2nd.
I'm not going to ask you your age.
Well, I'll tell you because,
you're a man, so you can't tell the age, right?
I remember being taught as a child by my mother, said, never ask a lady her age. But a man, it's fine. I was 56. I am 56.
You're 56 years old?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I would have guessed like 10 years younger.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Unfortunately, yeah. But no, I know. I shouldn't say unfortunately.
Is that Irish skin?
I think so. It's, I think in general, you have a positive attitude. It's something Marcus Aurelius said. He said you wake up in the morning and you choose your attitude. Now, maybe that's an easy thing to say because I'm sure there are people who have extremely challenging lives, I'm not living in the middle of Ukraine with my house being bombed or my kids aren't in the battlefield, but, that's something like the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius said, you wake up in the morning and you choose your attitude. Mm-hmm. Generally, I'm a positive person.
Do you think that you come from a positive family?
Yes.
Do you think it's an Irish trait? Do you think it's...
Yeah, there's some Irish people like to complain a lot. I have a real problem with people who complain a lot. Yeah. I just don't, No. If it's a valid complaint, but people who constantly come, it's like complaining, it's like, come on. So generally a very positive house, upbeat at the same time. As kids, we spent a lot of time, because of my father's job, he was a politician, the house was always full of people. Mm-hmm. And like we were saying just before we came on air, none of us in the family are necessarily extroverts. Maybe one of my younger sisters. But we all have a similar, that very Irish thing, as you were saying, it's being a Gemini, that, half introvert, half extrovert. My mother is an extrovert.
So is my mom.
Yeah. My father was more like me, half introvert, half extrovert. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But my mother's an extrovert. Loves talking to people. My father loved talking to people some of the time. Yeah. And then sometimes he was like, I don't want to talk to you at all. Yeah.
Well, I'm a Pisces, so that's also the sign of the two fish swimming in opposite directions. So I also have that duality.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were speaking earlier, and I was saying how it's easier for me, I think, to speak in a microphone or in front of 500 people than it is for me to be in a small, intimate environment where, there's 2 or 3.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And I come from, I asked you about the Irish question because my mother's family, as you know, is Irish American. And they're really positive people and they're fun people and they love to party.
Yes.
And so I was wondering, is that like an Irish trait, because...
I would say in general, yes. I mean, which is interesting because we have a tragic history.
And terrible weather, right?
Terrible weather. So maybe it's a reaction to that because, you could just say, oh God, the weather is so bad and it's always raining and it's always windy and it's cold and it's dark. And, you could decide I'm just going to be miserable like the weather or I'll be the opposite.
Yeah.
And I think generally people would see the Irish as like that, like positive, upbeat, fun to be with. I think we're good in teams, especially we're good in the workplace because I think we're good at, we're good communicators. We like being with people. And we like to travel the world. And
there's that sense of community too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you meet someone that's Irish around the world, you say, I'm Irish too. It's like there's that connection.
Yeah. And it's something I like. Some Irish people make fun of what are unkindly called plastic paddies.
I hate when you use that expression. I've heard you say it before.
I don't like it because
Explain what it is, first of all.
So, for example, the Irish have been emigrating from the island of Ireland in large numbers since about 1840, since the famine. But now, even Ireland has a strong economy, but Irish people continue to travel and migrate and emigrate, to countries like Australia, for example. There's about 100,000 Irish people right now in a country of 5-point-something million. That's a lot of young people. They go to Australia for, weather is better. Job prospects are very good. It's easier for them to get a visa.
It's English.
It's English speaking. And they have a good life there. Mm-hmm. So we still continue to travel to other places because by nature we're travelers. Because the population of Ireland is a mix of, if you start digging into the DNA, Celtic, of course, Basque, Northern Spain, Viking, before that. So we've always been on the move, always mixing, and always traveling. And as you said, the sense of community is really strong. Mm-hmm. The sense of being Irish is strong. I have a lot of cousins in the States that I'm very close to.
Are they plastic patties too?
No, I never use the term.
Okay.
I never say
just
it.
with me.
Yeah. Well, it was just to tease
I was just joking.
But I would say, they're Irish Americans.
So wait, so a plastic patty is someone that feels Irish but has actually never been to Ireland, or it's not like...
Or, I suppose it's a racist term, really. Yeah. It's like, someone who identifies as Irish, like a lot of Americans do, and like a lot of Australians and Canadians do. And so unkindly, certain people in Ireland would say, they're plastic patties. I would never say it because I always love the fact that my American cousins, and you do, identify so strongly as being Irish. I see that as a positive. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing. It's part of, my identity. And even though that I've never had the opportunity to live in Ireland, you still have that DNA in your blood, your genes. You feel, that's part of your heritage,
Yeah.
So, and I always think that I have this idea that there's behavior or, behavior components that are passed down,
Absolutely.
from generation to generation. So even though my family's been in the U.S., I feel like we kind of conserve that love for music, that love for dancing, that fun, get together. I have 21 cousins on my mom's side. First cousins.
21 first
cousins. Yeah. So when we get together, it's like this huge buffet line, of just eating and drinking and talking and storytelling.
Yeah. The storytelling is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're good storytellers.
Yeah. And I hope that never gets lost because obviously, you worry about younger generations and spending so much time on screens and phones and less time, looking down rather than looking up and less time conversing with people.
Yeah.
You do worry about that it gets lost because I grew up in a house where there are always stories being told. Always.
No, and you know what? And now we communicate by text. We lost kind of the oral communication, where, we sit down, we kind of talk face to face. We have that screen.
Yeah.
And then I feel also like my attention span has reduced significantly in the last few years. Like I used to read so much, Fitz, all the time. And now it's hard for me to get into a book.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
And I've always been an avid reader.
Well, I gave you a book for your birthday, so now you have some reading to do.
The Irish in America. A beautiful book, and thank you. Lovely. It's always nice to get gifts. Someone asked me the other day, because we have a nice tradition here in the office when it's your birthday.
Yeah.
People collect money and they buy you gifts.
Okay.
So one communal gift from people. And they brought me a beautiful set of Ray-Ban glasses.
Oh, nice.
I'm a huge Roy Orbison fan, and he wore those. He had an eyesight problem. He always wore those big dark glasses, and that's what these were like. They bought me a beautiful bottle of wine, but they also wrote me a lovely card where everyone who contributes signed it. And one of my friends here, Alejandra, she said, what did you get for your birthday? I said, well, I'll tell you, the nicest gift I got was the card.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the physical gifts are great. It's lovely. But it's the card what tells you what
it's the sentimental part, right? Yeah. No, and I love looking for like a gift that represents that person, because it's so easy just to, buy whatever. But I think if you think about what that person could like, it makes something more special. So back to your birthday, Fitz. Okay, so you turned 56, which I'm in shock right now. I'm in shock. I want to know what you're doing so that I can copy it. Collagen shots in the morning.
Collagen shots in the morning, yeah. Facelifts, Botox, all of those things.
Well, listen, so I was thinking today that when we sat down, I wanted to ask you, like, would you go back to your 20s and 30s? I mean, do you have nostalgia for those decades, or Do you feel like you're living your best moment now?
By nature, I'm sentimental and nostalgic, which is also a very Irish thing. Would I go back? No, I think I would always say, you know, you look back at when you were young and you were thinking, my God, there were so many things I could do. But I mean, I think I live, you know, I love what I do. I love my job. I'm lucky with my family, my friends. I'm lucky in terms of, I would always see myself as a lucky person.
Right. Well, because you're a positive person.
I think so. I think that's part of it. Because
if you want to find something negative, anyone can find anything negative in their life and switch it.
People are drawn to positive people, you know, because people want to have that experience. And so, no, I would say I live, you know, I live a good life, a happy life. It's very interesting, I think, and I left this late in my life, to go and live and work in another country. Yeah. My sisters all did that long before I did. They went to Australia.
How old were you when you came to Spain?
I was 33.
Okay.
So I was older than, and my sisters were always like, "You'll never leave home." And then when I did, they were extremely supportive. And it was interesting. Then you come to a different country. You've got to learn a language, find a job, find a place to live.
Wait, so you didn't speak Spanish when you came here?
No.
Nothing?
No. But I think it's not the most difficult. I think it's important to make the effort. Because you could come to Spain and you could spend your whole life here and not necessarily have to speak Spanish because you can. So it's a terrible pity not to do so because you can't understand the culture of a language until you speak the language, and then you get into, you know, the music, the literature, and you know, you have that feeling, you know, of. I remember the first time I thought I just understood part of a conversation. I was like, wow, fantastic, you know, and then you make Spanish friends and you, of course, you have the osmosis effect because you're surrounded by it. So you've no excuse but to learn it.
Right.
You know, learn how to understand it. And that's an important thing I would always say to language learners. It's far, far, far more important to understand the language. The speaking will come. But because you have people who can speak quite well, but they can't understand it, that means you can't function.
You think so?
Yeah. I would always say, for example, I have a colleague here, an outstanding colleague who is working on her English. She's very good at what she does, a girl called Laura. And she goes to meetings now, and they're in English, and she panics a little bit. And of course, when you panic, you
block.
block.
Yeah.
So I say, look, and there's another one of the best teachers we have in this company, an outstanding lady called Brenda, who's from New York, upstate New York, and she said she encourages her students. She said, at the meeting, say one thing. Ask one question. You get those words out and you break through a psychological barrier. And then after that, and you say, no, you know, people will answer your question. No one's going to judge you if your language isn't perfect. And this is really important. You know, you can understand. Your understanding should always be higher as a language learner than your speaking, because then you're actually functional. And your speaking will catch up a little bit with your understanding as you practice the language.
You know what? I think that there's a factor that stops people from advancing quickly, which is being embarrassed. You know, and I think Spaniards tell me in general that they're people that get embarrassed easily. You know, where I feel like the Americans will put on the Mickey Mouse ears in Orlando and they don't care. They'll put on a bright pink shirt, you know, the socks with sandals. Like no one, as long as you're comfortable. It's like, I feel like the Americans don't, care as much, you know, about that stuff. They sentido de ridículo.
That's it.
You know, we don't have that. We probably should have a bit more, the Americans, but we don't, like, we get dressed up for Halloween. You know, we decorate our house for Christmas and, you know, so these little things. So, but I feel like Spaniards they're much more, inhibited.
Yes.
You know, and I always tell my friends that are Spanish, I was like, practice your English with me. I mean, you have a native friend, like, let's speak in English, and they won't do it, Fitz, because they're embarrassed. They're like, no, your Spanish is better than my English. I say, who cares? It's the way to get better.
No one, you know, no one is going to judge you. And if they do judge you, I'm not even sure you should be in the presence of that person. And it's an interesting thing because the owners of our company now, it's a Polish company, and their CEO, a man called Radek, I was talking about this to him. He said Poles have the same thing.
Really?
And I was kind of surprised. He said, yeah, most Polish people have that same fear of appearing foolish, and they're, you know, easily embarrassed.
But the Irish don't?
I don't think so. I mean, we're always available to, you know, to perform and make ourselves appear foolish and, you know, and not worry too much, I think in most cases at least, about what would someone think?
You told me one time a story in the Hibernians show that stuck with me, that when you're little, you have to sing.
Oh, yeah.
In front of, and I cannot think of anything that would be more terrifying to me. Who I told you, I have no shame to get up to talk in front of 500 people, but to have to sing.
Oh, really?
I'm not a good singer.
Well, neither am I, but this is becoming a bit of a lost art. So, when I was growing up, again, the country, people didn't have as much money in Ireland as they do now, but there was, you had parties in your house.
Right.
Not lavish parties. My parents would make food for their guests, and there would be whiskey and beer. Not too much wine even at that time, because it was too expensive. And the kids and everybody would sing. Every single person.
You said everyone had to take a turn. Like, yes. You couldn't refuse to get up and sing.
It was seen very badly if you refused. We have something called noble call. Noble call is, if I sing, I then choose who sings next, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah. So we always sang. We learned songs at school. We learned songs at home, and that's a great tradition, which I think doesn't happen as much. And if you get the Irish together, especially of certain generations, and they get a few drinks, they'll start singing. Really? Yes.
Maybe that's why, for such a small island, it's produced such wonderful musicians.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. All those guys. Like, people would talk about, like, U2. There's a whole new generation of young Irish musicians coming up now. And because they grew up in that tradition of playing, singing, listening to music being a huge part of daily life.
Do you think they're missing that nowadays? Do you think that it's getting lost?
I think in certain cases, although there are some very good young musicians coming up, people in their early 20s. But I think now in general, younger Irish people are probably more easily embarrassed than my generation.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we were talking before we came on air about a story that I like to tell about me getting a haircut when I was 5 years old.
I told you, I said, look, we need to talk about that story, because you put it out the other day about your hairdresser.
Well, I was in barber.
I thought that was your barber.
I was in barber, because this was a barber shop. Yeah. So I was 5 years old. Story. And my dad worked away a lot.
Okay, you said he was a politician,
he was a politician,
right?
So he was always in Dublin, and he was always travelling. So the weekends, I would, because I was the only boy, I am the only boy, so he would take me off with him. We were always travelling together. There was always going to sports games, going to meetings, spending time in the car, learning about life, because, I was the kid in the car, and there were 5 big men in the car all smoking cigarettes in the 1970s, driving a Ford, right?
So you're practically a smoker then.
Oh, yeah.
A second-hand smoker.
A second-hand smoker. And so my sister's communion, my older sister Anya, which is Anna in Gaelic, Anya, was getting her communion. And so my sister said, take me to get a haircut. So my father had a friend in Cork City who was a local, like a councilman, a politician, an older man, Davy. And Davy probably, would have a few drinks at night, and in the morning mightn't have been in great shape, but I went to the barber shop, and as a kid of 5...
Wait, but Davy was the barber?
He was the barber.
So he had a side hustle as a barber. He was a councilman?
So he wasn't a professional politician. He would have been,
okay.
So he was a local councilman, and what we would call a character. Everyone knew him.
Okay.
He had a barber shop in the middle of the north side of the city, which is the heartland of Cork City. And those barber shops were a bit like the American ones, these big red chairs that were hydraulic. The smell of the barbershop, I love that smell of the, aftershave lotion, and, there would always be people in there talking about politics, sport, probably about their wives, girlfriends, and I was in there as a boy watching all of this. And I was a tiny kid, and so those big red chairs, they had high arms. So what they would do with little boys, they had a plank of wood, and you would sit on the plank of wood.
They still have that in some of the barbershops.
So... what I remember coming home was, and my mother looking at me and going, "Oh my God, what did you let him do?" And of course, my father was the typical father in the 70s, loving father, very caring father. Did he know all our birthdays? I doubt it. But loving,
he had a lot of kids.
Yeah, and he was like, not paying attention to my haircut. Yeah. Right. So I had this jagged, the flequillo.
Okay, the bangs.
So my mother had to get a ruler and try to tidy it up. So there's still photographs at home of my sister's communion and me with this, like, botched.
Wait, but did he put a bowl on the top of your head?
No, I think he was just cutting and not paying attention.
And why wasn't he paying attention?
Because he was talking to my father about politics. And possibly
drinking.
His hands were shaking, and there may have, this is probably a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. There may have been some alcohol involved. So, but it's a funny, and my mother still says, oh God, I remember that you came home and I was so angry with your father because my father was like, I wasn't paying any attention.
Well, I mean, I guess he doesn't have to supervise a haircut if the guy's a barber, yeah.
In the hands of a professional, yeah.
So did you ever go back to that barber again?
No, I think my mother forbade it. That you're not going back there. And then my mother actually cut my hair for quite a while. So I have these photographs where I have this like Beatles haircut. Because she would just take the ruler and cut the fringe.
Oh my God.
Until I was probably older and I started to get, go to a more responsible and less maybe alcoholic barber. Yeah.
Well, I had bangs when I was growing up because my mom said I had to have bangs. She said because I had a big forehead. So, I mean.
We say fringe.
Yeah, fringe. Well, we say bangs.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's an interesting fact.
There you go. Yeah.
Bangs in the U.S.?
Fringe.
Yeah, in Ireland.
I remember the first time I heard my cousins saying bangs, and I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, here. I was like, oh, you say bangs?
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I never heard fringe until I came to Europe. But so I had to have bangs because according to my mom, I had to cover up my forehead, and I hated the bangs. And then sometimes, my hair would grow so fast it would get into my eyes. And so my dad would say, go wet a comb and get the scissors. One time he cut my bangs like all the way back behind my ears. I had a mullet.
You had a mullet? Yeah,
how do we even say mullet in Spanish? It's
I don't know. Like you see with a lot of the football players have it like short on top, long at the back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I had. And it was horrible. And my mom came home and she saw it, she started crying. And I'm like, what happened? So I wore my hair up for like, about a year, I guess, until it, the front part grew back. And it was horrible. But when I would hear that, and I couldn't tell my dad no. He said, go wet a comb and get the scissors. And then he would cut my hair. And I had this long red hair. I was a redhead when I was little.
Really?
Yes.
Now, it's another thing. I have two sisters who are redheads.
Yeah.
And I'm also, like being Irish, I'm, very superstitious.
Ah.
So, so I always look for good luck things. And if I find bad luck, which is, for example, the magpie bird, the urraca, if you see one of those, I have to wave it at 11 times. Yeah, with my finger.
Wait, Urraca, Madrid's full of them.
Full of them.
So when you just wave it,
constantly waving.
11? Why 11?
This is something, actually, my good friend Brendan, who's one of the Iberians. So I always waved once. I said, no, Fitz, you have to wave 11 times with your finger.
I'm going to write this down. 11 times if I see an Urraca.
Yeah, with the index finger of your right hand.
Okay. That's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. But
bananas.
When we come back, I want to hear about that redhead superstition.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you'd like to hear more about Tell Me Your Story, we are on iVoox, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So we will be right back to continue these stories and to get to know a little bit more about Fitz.
You're listening to Vaughan Radio. ¿Quieres un descuento en los cursos intensivos de inglés de Vaughan? Pues ahora es el momento. Puedes obtener un descuento de hasta 39%. Para más información sobre este descuento u otros, pásate por nuestra web, grupovaughan.com.
¿Sabías que cada año más de 3.000 niños y niñas viven un verano increíble, lleno de aventuras y en inglés con Vaughan? ¿Conoces los Summer Camps? Espeleología, paddle surf, natación, multiaventura, cabañas y todo en inglés, sin clase. Gracias a nuestros monitores certificados y angloparlantes Vaughan. Para que tus hijos vivan su mejor verano y sin salir de España. No te quedes sin plaza. Llámanos al 91 711 99 y encuentra su mejor camp. A summer to remember.
¿Quieres mejorar tu inglés sin complicaciones? Vaughan Inglés 4.0 es el curso de inglés más completo en formato audio, con casi 600 clases desde cero hasta nivel avanzado. Paso a paso, donde y cuando quieras. Claro, práctico y eficaz. Gramática, vocabulario, pronunciación y sobre todo, resultados. Busca nuestro podcast Vaughan Inglés 4.0 en iVoox.
¿Inglés oxidado? Ven a Vaughan Town. ¿Tienes poco tiempo y quieres resultados inmediatos para mejorar definitivamente tu inglés? ¿Estás dispuesto a hablar inglés y solo inglés durante 14 horas al día? Ven a Vaughan Town. ¿Quieres vivir una experiencia única en entornos increíbles con angloparlantes de todo el mundo? ¿Te gustaría aprender inglés real, en situaciones reales y cotidianas? Enhorabuena, Vaughan Town es tu programa. Vivirás una inmersión en inglés única durante 6 días o un fin de semana intensivo. Tú eliges la opción, lugar y fechas que mejor te vengan. Visita nuestra web grupovaughan.com o llámanos al 91 133 5833.
Cada año miles de empresas en España pierden su crédito Fundae simplemente por no usarlo. En Vaughan te ayudamos a transformarlo en algo mucho mejor. Empleados que comunican mejor, se motivan más y sobre todo sin coste para tu empresa. No dejes que tu crédito se pierda. Invierte en tu equipo con Vaughan. Entra en grupovaughan.com/empresas o llámanos hoy mismo.
En Vaughan sabemos que el éxito empresarial se nutre del dominio de múltiples idiomas. Por eso, ofrecemos cursos no solo en inglés, sino también en francés, portugués, italiano y alemán, entre otros. Visita grupovaughan.com o llama al 91 108 3488 y comienza a transformar el futuro de tu empresa hoy.
Presentamos nuestra nueva serie en YouTube con la que puedes aprender inglés de una forma divertida y entretenida, de la mano de nuestros presentadores Alberto Alonso, Kyle Miller y Ruby. Ya disponible gratis en nuestro canal de YouTube Aprende Inglés con Vaughan, con nuevos episodios cada día. No te lo pierdas.
¿Quieres aprender inglés de verdad? Únete a Vaughan Groups, clases en grupo divertidas y eficaces. Más de 4.000 alumnos nos eligen cada año. Entra en grupovaughan.com.
Encuentra todos los libros de nuestros presentadores de radio en las tiendas Vaughan. Nosotros te ayudamos a encontrar el libro perfecto para ti, para todos los niveles y edades. También encontrarás libros de alemán, francés y mucho más. Estamos en calle Orense 75, en Madrid, o en nuestras 6 delegaciones por España. Ven a vernos o visita vaughantienda.com. Vaughan, Learn English.
Somos los de Vaughan. Esto es Vaughan Radio.
Okay, so we're back with Tell Me Your Story, and today I'm with Fitz. Fitz and I met probably, a couple months ago?
At our good friend Celia's. This lady has the most beautiful house and she has the most beautiful parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful lady.
Beautiful lady. Yeah.
She's so kind. And she is American?
Yes.
Well, she's a mix.
American, Chilean.
Yeah.
And she grew up in, I want to say Massachusetts, but I can't be certain. She told me. She was on the radio with me one day.
She was in the States, yeah.
Yeah. But
so we met that night and we were talking, you were telling me about, Vaughan radio.
Yeah.
And then you invited me onto the Hiberians podcast and I had a blast.
Yeah.
And so here we are. Fitz is like my radio mentor. He's the best communicator. And so right before we went to break, we were talking about Irish superstitions.
Yes.
Okay. So you were telling me about you have 2 redheaded sisters.
Yeah. So I have 4 sisters, 2 dark-haired, 2 red-haired.
Okay. And I'm looking at your hair as we speak. You told me your age earlier and you don't have gray hair.
There's a few in there.
Yeah, but you're 56 years old, Fitz.
Okay,
that's not fair.
Before I tell you the redhead story, I'm going to tell you another funny story, right? I have, because I get this hair from my mother, from her side. And, I remember I had a party here. This is about 10 or 12 years ago. And a lot of my colleagues from work were at the party. And, at one stage I saw 3 of the girls, maybe 4 of them, in the bathroom, and the bathroom was small, looking for something. And I was like, are you okay? And they kind of got embarrassed. And I was like, what are you looking for? And one of them was like, we're trying to see if you dye your hair.
No.
And I was like, well, I said, good luck looking for the hair dye because it's not there. So, because people think, you have, your hair
you don't have any gray hair. There
are a couple at the side, which is good because then people won't think, he doesn't dye his hair. Because before people thought I dyed my hair. So, now they won't think.
And plus you have you have thick hair. You're lucky. I think that's what makes you look so young.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got that. My mother's father had a full, and actually, on my father's side also, apparently you get the hair gene from your mother's side, but my father's brother, Dan, even when he was very sick in his last days, he had this massive head of thick hair.
Yeah. That's you're lucky. That's the best inheritance ever, to have a full set of hair.
Full set of hair, yeah.
Yeah, my brother, my mom's family too, the Irish, they have they all have their hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was reading the other day that the baldest country in the world was, I don't know if it was Italy.
Really?
Or then there are people that say Spain, but I read that it was one of the two.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
okay.
Who knows?
And then the red-haired story. So back in the 1970s and 80s, we have our two main sports are native Irish sports. We have a type of football, and we have a game called hurling, which is the national sport, which is also like an art. I love it. It's a very physical game. It's like lacrosse and hockey, you could say. And so back in the 70s and 80s, from the very southwest of Ireland, there was the best team called Kerry. It's like, they're like the kingpins of football. And in West County, Kerry is also a very, very traditional county, and they have a lot of what they call in Gaelic pishogues.
It's pishogues.
Superstitions.
Ah.
And there was a guy on the team, a fantastic character from the Gaelic-speaking area, a guy called Paddy O'Shea. And on the morning of the national final, which is like the Super Bowl, he would get one of the other players who had a car to drive him around Dublin. So what he said, he wasn't comfortable playing the game until he had seen two red-headed women.
No.
He said he saw two red-headed women.
He would drive around and look for them?
Now we'll win. Now we have the luck.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you have two redheaded sisters, so you could just go and,
I grew up with good luck all around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that people said that redheads were bad luck. Or some, I mean.
There's a lot of, that for me was always that it was good luck, but also for me, a black cat is good luck, a white cat is bad luck.
Really?
Yeah.
But is that from Cork, or is that just?
I would say in the Irish traditions, because sometimes, and I correct this as soon as someone says it, they're like, oh, you in the UK, we'll say, whoa.
Right.
The UK is the United Kingdom. I'm from the Republic of Ireland. I'm Irish, not British. And also, our traditions are not Anglo-Saxon. Our traditions are more Celtic, Viking, and further back, pagan, going right back.
Anglos aren't as superstitious, right, as the Celtic?
No, the Celtic thing I think is much more naturally superstitious. Yeah. And then we have the Viking thing too, which is also interesting because they had the concept of Valhalla, which was kind of the heaven of the warrior. The warrior died, they put him on a boat, they burnt the boat.
Oh, right.
So, we have that in our tradition.
Would you do that too?
Well, no, I think we inherited obviously a lot from the Vikings.
Right.
In terms of DNA.
But I'm saying not that tradition for the burial. No. Because I remember you telling me about the shroud and like the burial traditions.
That one was a Viking tradition, and when I was a kid, I was obsessed by reading about Vikings
at
school. Yeah. And then, of course, the more you read about them, you realize, well, we probably all have Viking DNA because they invaded Ireland several times. And then in classic Irish fashion, first they were our enemy, and then they married in.
Yeah.
They fought, and then they married in. Yeah.
Oh, because Irish women are beautiful. So.
Yes.
Yeah. But, I told you I did the DNA test, and there was not like a Viking-specific DNA. It was, I found out I was actually more Scottish than I was. Well, I was like 20% Scottish and like 19% Irish.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, I guess they're different DNAs,
They would be very similar because the Scots are, again, Celtic. It's a Celtic language. It's a Celtic people. They also would have a lot of Viking DNA.
Right.
Because the Vikings, came from, I suppose, what's Scandinavia now, came to Scotland, came to Ireland, and probably... they went to modern day North America. There are archaeological remains in eastern Canada of long houses that they had.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say would be the strangest superstition that you have?
This isn't one that I have, but my mother has it. My mother is a very elegant lady. She loves her clothes. And in the wintertime, she wears nice gloves.
Okay.
If she drops a glove on the ground, she will not pick it up. Someone else has to pick it up, and someone else has to put it down on a table. She cannot take it from their hand.
No.
And I've never she's the only person who I know who has this. Her father was also very superstitious, so she must have gotten it from him. But that's the most unusual superstition that I know of. And like I said, I don't wear gloves, but I know actually because these things become so ingrained in you.
Yeah.
If I had gloves and I dropped one, I'd be thinking, oh God, I gotta put it up.
I gotta call the neighbor, I gotta call someone on the street.
Because my mom lives, she's very healthy, she lives alone, but my sisters live near her, two of them. And they've gone to the house and they've found a glove on the ground in the kitchen.
But she just won't pick up.
And since when is that there? Since yesterday? Yeah. Yeah.
See, speaking of gloves and hands, we have the superstition, my mom always told me that when your left hand itches, it means you're gonna get money. When your right hand itches, it means you're gonna have to give money.
I never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's why every time, my right hand itches, I start to get nervous.
That's
because I'm like, what do I have to pay now?
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
So I love, and then they say if it itches your left hand, you got to close it. So you keep the money.
Close it.
Keep it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I always had a black cat growing up. Like, they don't scare me.
No. For me, the black cat is good luck. A white cat is not. Yeah.
No, we rescued him from a shelter because I think a lot of people abandon black cats, you know?
Because of that reason.
I think so,
Wow.
yeah. His name was Jingles. He was a good cat. But, so, Fitz, your superstitions are fun. You know, I think that you always pass them on to your next generation.
And I think maybe because when I was young, I made fun of them.
Yeah.
The older I get, I take it more seriously.
What about the salt? You spilled the salt.
No, the salt, I think that maybe is a general world tradition because I guess at some stage, a lot of them make sense. Like, salt was the currency at some point.
Right.
And I guess parents did not want their children to spill salt. So if you spilled it, you pick it up with your right hand and throw it over your left shoulder, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's their left shoulder, but I don't know which hand. Yeah.
But that one not so much. I think the ones that, like the magpies, the one with the glove.
The magpies would be Urraca, right?
Urraca.
Okay.
Yeah. The one with the glove. And then another one was, most people in Ireland, if you ask them what their favorite bird is, they will say the robin redbreast, the petirrojo.
Okay.
They're very tame birds. They come into your garden, you know, and they're just very fascinating birds. And I grew up in a house where we are all animal lovers. But I remember as a kid, my grandmother lived with us, Nellie Fitz, my father's mother, and I was in the house one day, and suddenly, it was the summertime, so the windows are open, a robin redbreast hopped into the room where I was there, my grandmother and my mother. And that instinct you have as a kid I remember just feeling this kind of tension between my mother and my grandmother. No one said anything. And I was like, oh, look at the bird. My mom was like, yeah. And she, shooed the bird out. And years later, she told me, she said, that's a sign of death.
Oh, no.
The robin coming into the house.
Did anyone die after that?
I mean, I think my grandmother died like 10 years later, but,
They chalked it up to the bird being there.
They were both like, oh, my God.
Really?
This is a big deal. Yeah. A lot of the Irish superstitions revolve around animals.
Yeah.
I guess because we were an agricultural society. Yeah. And people are always very close to nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I have a question. Fitz, when you go to the U.S., do you feel like a connection with...
Yes.
Do you feel at home when you're in the U.S.?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the first time I went, it was about 1993. And my dad, I was graduating from college, so my dad said, let's go to the States. He had points built up like, what do you call them, air miles. And so we were on the plane.
Where were you flying to?
Flying to JFK.
Okay.
Which for me, I was like, wow, JFK.
Yeah, like you'd seen in the movies.
Yeah, and John Fitzgerald Kennedy, of course.
Oh, right.
And we were on the plane, and a guy he knew who worked for the Irish airline, Aer Lingus. Mm-hmm. When I was 23, I probably looked like I was about 14. So he came along.
This has been a lifelong...
Yeah. He said, do you want to go to the cockpit for the landing? And I was like, oh, yeah. So I went to the cockpit for the landing. They strapped me into the little jump seat, and you're flying in over New York Harbor. You know, you can see at that time the Twin Towers, Statue of Liberty, and you're flying, and they circled in and landed at Kennedy. And when we got there, and this had all been arranged by my father and my cousins there. So my father's first cousin, Kathleen, who's like closer to my dad's age, she picked up my dad, and they went to her house up in Westchester County. My cousin Alison, who worked for MTV.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow, that's cool.
She picked me up, and she said, she lives in Manhattan. She said, you're going to stay in my house in Manhattan tonight. There's friends of mine are putting on a little concert. We're going to go there, right? So this was St. Patrick's weekend as well.
Wow.
So we got to Manhattan.
You were the star of the show.
And, it was like everywhere is super Irish. And then we got to outside Madison Square Garden, and it said, Bob Dylan 30th anniversary concert.
So that's where you went?
Yes. All my musical heroes, like Johnny Cash, George Harrison, Tom Petty, Neil Young, a few Irish musicians, including Sinead O'Connor, Chris Christopherson, the Clancy brothers. I mean, Eddie Vedder, who was only a young man then, but he did an amazing version of Masters of War. So this was incredible. And then the next day, I think, was St. Patrick's Day, and there were 1 million people on the streets celebrating
with Irish flags.
Yes.
Oh, so that's why you had an epic weekend.
Yeah, I was thinking, I love this. This is cool. So I've always had that connection with the States. the generations of my American cousins, we are still close all the way down. They've come to visit me here. Now, the next generation, my nieces and nephews, are friends with them, which is really cool. The one who went first was my father's Uncle Jack, who I remember. He was my grandfather's youngest brother. And he would come, as we would say, come home from the States. And we were like, wow, he's cool.
He's your famous Uncle Jack that he brought you like a jersey, or he brought you...
He brought me a Steelers jersey.
I remember you told me that story.
And I went to school, and, kids nowadays, of course, would have all of this, but back in Ireland in those days, it was like, wow.
Right.
And then another time they came and they brought me a New England Patriots, a kind of a numbers... What do you call it? No, the letter jacket. You know that one?
Yeah.
And of course, again, I wore that thing until it fell apart.
And you were the coolest person in school, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. And when's the last time you've been back to the U.S.?
The last time I went was probably about 2 years ago, to San Diego, which is a beautiful city, to a conference on artificial intelligence and education run by Global Silicon Valley and Arizona State University. Yeah.
Do you use artificial intelligence?
I do, and I guess I think we all have to. We have a new CEO here, Tomasz, who has a lot of experience of AI, and he talks about it like we have to use it, but he's also, like a lot of people, very concerned about how far it's going to go, how fast it's developing, where, how much control it may have over us in the future. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about it, but I do use it. I have two friends here from San Francisco and one from Wisconsin. And one of our friends from San Francisco, Steve, he's always worrying about, these like cyber robots.
Yeah.
So we're always teasing him. But I think it's here to stay. We have to find a way to use it and try to use it for our benefit rather than it using us. I think that seems to be one of the big arguments. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's always that debate, like what jobs are going to be kind of eliminated by AI, and I mean, I guess radio is not one of them,
Because people, it's like the same I say about teaching, because that conference I went to, one of the big questions was, is it going to eliminate teachers?
Yeah.
And the general consensus and everyone there were people from AI companies, they said, a job that is protected is the teacher, because people need someone to inspire them.
Yeah.
And not just, people say, a teacher is there to educate. No. William Butler Yeats said, the education is not the filling of a pail, it's the lighting of a fire. That's a big thing for us here at Vaughan.
Yeah.
Teacher's job is to inspire and motivate, and then you'll actually end up teaching yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, I think that there's a degree of like empathy and connection that the teacher has to have with the students, and I don't think you'll ever be able to replace that.
Never.
So I think that, teaching is safe. But yeah, it's amazing how it's changed our daily lives.
Changed our daily lives, and it will continue to do so. And, like I said, we've got there was the Industrial Revolution, and that also, of course, cost jobs, but, new jobs can be created. Again, this was 2 years ago even, and one of the messages that everyone said, they said, this is going to change every month, every day. It's the pace of change is extraordinary. You read things like it's now able to be introspective.
Wow. And that's kind of scary, right?
It is kind of scary.
I'm like, that goes from robot to actual, like, person type.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you think, oh my God, then they're going to create an army, or they're going to, it's a little bit, it's like a Dan Brown novel, A
little bit, yeah.
But I mean, I think, I don't like, maybe I just don't want to think about it now.
I'm the same, I think if you think about this too much, it's like sometimes you read the news, and it's just all of it is like, everything is bad, there's 10 wars going on, and, and I think it media actually makes it hard for people, in my opinion, to remain positive.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be like false positive and toxically positive, but I think you need to people need inspiration. People need to be kept upbeat.
And motivated to keep doing good,
Keep doing things.
Last week I interviewed my friend Jorge Neri, who just wrote a book.
Yeah.
The Economy of Abundance. And when he bought his newspaper here, his magazine, Cambio 16, he said he was only going to put positive news in it.
Really?
Yeah, because he said he was sick of seeing bad things all the time. He said there are people doing good stuff out there, and he said, and I want to highlight that.
Yeah.
But then they told him, they said, look, good news doesn't sell.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make it because, people want that.
They want bad, they love people, like I always say here, I run the operations here for the company, and there are daily problems.
Yeah. Well, everywhere.
Everywhere, and one thing I always say, listen, okay, less of the drama and more of the fixing.
Yeah.
Let's fix it and let's stop talking about it You know, the drama isn't going to fix it. You know, you highlight the problem, you look for the answer, and then you solve it.
No.
And you try to prevent it from happening again in the future.
No, definitely. I mean, when I was working as the director of marketing for a hotel company, like, people would come in, they would bring me their problems, and I would say, okay, you have enough autonomy, leave and come back and say, this is the problem, here are the possible solutions. You know, and I feel like you need to give people that independence to be able to come and bring you a solution instead of always putting out the fires yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And you said, you worked, you studied marketing?
Well, I studied business. I did an MBA in IE, so it's kind of a bit, so it's a bit of everything, you know, every aspect of business. And then I turned it into a coaching business, which kind of combines my love to talk and listen with my background in business. So,
do you coach people in public speaking?
No, I don't. But I have a guy that does public speaking that I've taken his course. He's fantastic. His name's Fernando of Saber Hablar. Si me estáis escuchando.
Okay.
Fernando de Saber Hablar. And I did a public speaking course with him. And because I love speaking in public, but I realized that sometimes I would get up and I would start to get nervous.
Okay.
You know, and I would say, oh my God, I'm saying the wrong thing, or, you know, I'm sweating, you know, and so that really kind of corrected that for me. You know, he helped me with that, because you have to get up like 4 times every time, every course.
Yeah.
In front of strangers. And it's a smaller course, so it's, for me, even harder if you get in front of 10 people instead of 100.
Yeah. Because they're all right there.
Yeah, they're all just looking at you, you know? So, yeah.
And you said, so what do you coach people in?
So, and anything business related. So I have people that are starting projects, you know, starting businesses. And then I have people that are changing jobs, you know, that kind of need a little bit of direction as to, you know, where they want to go, you know, if they want to change industries, sectors. And then I have people that in their current job are kind of, they're overwhelmed. So they're like, oh my God, I have so much on my plate right now. I have so much that I don't know where to start.
That's something, you know, I was talking with someone here the other day. We have, another outstanding colleague here who he does a huge amount. He helps people probably too much, and people go to him too much. And so he just gets overloaded. And then sometimes when you say, okay, we're going to help you, and you sit down with the person who's in that frame of mind, and they're like, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
You know, like, where's the problem? What can I take off your hands? And very often they're so overwhelmed, they don't know where to start. So you've got to, like, find a way where you say, okay, let's make a few lists here. Let's piece it together. And then, you know, maybe someone comes and says, oh, I'm going to ask him a question. I say, no, leave him alone. Don't. He has enough. Try, you know, find it yourself. Because there's the art of saying no.
Well, I was just going to say, there's two, as I hear you say this, there's 2 points to that. There's the psychology, which you have to learn to put limits, you know, and that's a psychologist that works with you. And then there's the other part where you have to break everything down and kind of into pieces with objectives. And that's what I do. So, you know, I would sit with the person, I would kind of find the underlying root of the overwhelm, you know, his being overwhelmed. And then, you know, come up with real doable tasks and put deadlines. Yeah. You know, and then the next session we would go back and we would revise all those deadlines if they were able to do it. If not, why not? And then put new ones. And so my idea is that I accompany that person during a period of time, not always.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like a crutch to get you back on your feet.
Okay.
And so I like it. And, you know, like I said, it kind of combines, you know, what I love to do, which is connect with people, listen to people, and then kind of, you know, like you said, light that fire. Yeah. For them to get going.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the great things is you know, like here we teach over 300,000 hours of class every year.
Really?
Yeah, and our job is to we actually don't look for teachers, we look for people who will be good teachers, because we've a style of teaching.
So you already know the elements that make a good teacher without that person actually having shown.
Yeah, very often they don't know themselves. I mean, I didn't know I was going to be a teacher.
So what would you say would be?
I mean, and this may sound corny, but it's really the only way to put it down into one word. You're looking for humility.
Right.
The great writer C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, he said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. So to be a great teacher, you do have to put, I think it's like being I'm not a parent, but you have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. You put the welfare of the student in a way above yourself. Because you're always thinking, but how can I make them better? There was another great psychologist, a guy called Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi, who was the professor of psychology at the University of Chicago for decades, and he wrote extensively about happiness. And one of the things he talked about was what he called the autotelic personality, which is ideal in a teacher. The autotelic personality is someone who gets more joy extrinsically from the joy and success of others than from intrinsic things.
That's a beautiful quality.
Yeah. So this is what you're really looking for in a teacher who, goes home at night and says, how can I make my student better? How can I make my student better? And then when the student succeeds, that's enough for the teacher. That just, that delights the teacher because they're like, my student is succeeding. That's the most important thing for me. And they get their joy from that. It's also a person who gets joy from minuscule things like seeing, you go to work in the morning, you hear the birds singing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
but you're describing for me what would be a great friend in my life, just in general. Not just a good teacher, but just a good person to have around you.
They're good friends because they're the kind of person who doesn't talk excessively about themselves. They listen to you. And, they'll be there to help you out because they get joy from... They
care about you and they have empathy, which is, one of the biggest qualities I look for in people that are around me.
Yeah.
Just people that have that empathy. And you have that empathy, Fitz, and you...
I got it from home.
Yeah. No, I mean, that my mom too, she taught me, how to connect. And so I thank you so much for coming today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the beautiful book.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Yeah. I'm glad you like it. I hope you had a wonderful birthday.
I did.
And I hope to have you back soon where we can, delve into a bit more of your Irish stories.
Absolutely.
Like the drunk barber.
The drunk barber, yeah, baby.
It's a pleasure to have you on today, Fitz. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Vaughan Radio Madrid 100.4 FM.
¿Quieres un descuento en los cursos intensivos de inglés de Vaughan? Pues ahora es el momento. Puedes obtener un descuento de hasta 39%. Para más información sobre este descuento u otros, pásate por nuestra web grupovaughan.com.
Vaughan Outlet. Hazte con libros y packs coleccionables de autoestudio como Objetivo Inglés, Vaughan Certified Completo, Speak English Now e Inglés en 10 pasos. Ahora con increíbles descuentos. Libros desde €1, novelas con audio desde €3.50, libros infantiles desde €3 y mucho más. Entra en vaughantienda.com, Vaughan Outlet. Aprende más, pagando menos, hasta agotar existencias.
Una semana en un lugar apartado.
Nativos angloparlantes de todas partes del mundo, uno por cada estudiante.
Terminantemente prohibido hablar en español.
Actividades organizadas y conversaciones en inglés a todas horas. No exageramos.
Aquí o hablas inglés o hablas inglés.
Y da igual las veces que te lo contemos.
Hasta que no lo vivas no sabrás que Vaughan Town te va a quitar el miedo al inglés para siempre.
Lo que pasa en Vaughan Town no se puede contar.
Tienes que vivirlo.
Ven a Vaughan Town.
Más información, grupovaughan.com.
¿Quieres aprender inglés a tu propio ritmo y según tu horario? En Vaughan tenemos la solución perfecta para ti. Con las clases particulares online de Vaughan, disfrutarás de la máxima flexibilidad en tu aprendizaje del inglés. Tú eliges. ¿Prefieres centrarte en la conversación o en la gramática? No hay ningún problema. Con Vaughan puedes seleccionar la modalidad que más te convenga. Y no solo eso, sino que también tienes completa libertad para elegir el día, la hora y la duración de tus clases. ¿Solo tienes 25 minutos? Perfecto. En Vaughan nos adaptamos a ti. Visita grupovaughan.com hoy mismo y descubre cómo nuestras clases particulares pueden transformar tu forma de aprender inglés. Flexibilidad y calidad en la enseñanza del inglés a tu medida.
¿Buscas el impulso definitivo para tu inglés profesional? Con Master Plus de Vaughan lo tienes todo. 5 meses de clases intensivas en grupo con el Executive Master, más 5 meses adicionales de clases individuales one-to-one online, donde tú eliges el horario, el ritmo y el enfoque, gramática, conversación o lo que necesites. Master Plus es flexibilidad real para alcanzar fluidez profesional. Descúbrelo en grupovaughan.com/master.
¿Quieres mejorar tu inglés sin complicaciones? Vaughan Inglés 4.0 es el curso de inglés más completo en formato audio, con casi 600 clases desde cero hasta nivel avanzado. Paso a paso, donde y cuando quieras. Claro, práctico y eficaz. Gramática, vocabulario, pronunciación y sobre todo, resultados. Busca nuestro podcast Vaughan Inglés 4.0 en iVoox.
En Vaughan sabemos que el éxito empresarial se nutre del dominio de múltiples idiomas. Por eso, ofrecemos cursos no solo en inglés, sino también en francés, portugués, italiano y alemán, entre otros. Visita grupovaughan.com o llama al 91 108 3488 y comienza a transformar el futuro de tu empresa hoy.
¿Quieres aprender inglés de verdad? Únete a Vaughan Groups, clases en grupo divertidas y eficaces. Más de 4.000 alumnos nos eligen cada año. Entra en grupovaughan.com.
Encuentra todos los libros de nuestros presentadores de radio en las tiendas Vaughan o en vaughantienda.com.
Listening to Vaughan Radio. ¿Quieres un descuento en los cursos intensivos de inglés de Vaughan? Pues ahora es el momento. Puedes obtener un descuento de hasta 39%. Para más información sobre este descuento u otros, pásate por nuestra web, grupovaughan.com.
¿Sabías que cada año más de 3.000 niños y niñas viven un verano increíble, lleno de aventuras y en inglés con Vaughan? ¿Conoces los summer camps? Espeleología, paddle surf, natación, multiaventura, cabañas y todo en inglés, sin clase. Gracias a nuestros monitores certificados y angloparlantes Vaughan, para que tus hijos vivan su mejor verano y sin salir de España. No te quedes sin plaza. Llámanos al 91 711 99 y encuentra su mejor camp. A summer to remember.
¿Quieres mejorar tu inglés sin complicaciones? Vaughan Inglés 4.0 es el curso de inglés más completo en formato audio, con casi 600 clases desde cero hasta nivel avanzado. Paso a paso, donde y cuando quieras. Claro, práctico y eficaz. Gramática, vocabulario, pronunciación y sobre todo, resultados. Busca nuestro podcast Vaughan Inglés 4.0 en iVoox.
¿Inglés oxidado? Ven a Vaughan Town. ¿Tienes poco tiempo y quieres resultados inmediatos para mejorar definitivamente tu inglés? ¿Estás dispuesto a hablar inglés y solo inglés durante 14 horas al día? Ven a Vaughan Town. ¿Quieres vivir una experiencia única en entornos increíbles con angloparlantes de todo el mundo? ¿Te gustaría aprender inglés real, en situaciones reales y cotidianas? Enhorabuena, Vaughan Town es tu programa. Vivirás una inmersión en inglés única durante 6 días o un fin de semana intensivo. Tú eliges la opción, lugar y fechas que mejor te vengan. Visita nuestra web grupovaughan.com o llámanos al 91 133 5833.
Cada año miles de empresas en España pierden su crédito Fundae simplemente por no usarlo. En Vaughan te ayudamos a transformarlo en algo mucho mejor. Empleados que comunican mejor, se motivan más y sobre todo sin coste para tu empresa. No dejes que tu crédito se pierda. Invierte en tu equipo con Vaughan. Entra en grupovaughan.com/empresas o llámanos hoy mismo.
En Vaughan sabemos que el éxito empresarial se nutre del dominio de múltiples idiomas. Por eso, ofrecemos cursos no solo en inglés, sino también en francés, portugués, italiano y alemán, entre otros. Visita grupovaughan.com o llama al 91 108 3488 y comienza a transformar el futuro de tu empresa hoy.
Presentamos nuestra nueva serie en YouTube con la que puedes aprender inglés de una forma divertida y entretenida, de la mano de nuestros presentadores Alberto Alonso, Kyle Miller y Ruby. Ya disponible gratis en nuestro canal de YouTube Aprende Inglés con Vaughan, con nuevos episodios cada día. No te lo pierdas.
¿Quieres aprender inglés de verdad? Únete a Vaughan Groups, clases en grupo divertidas y eficaces. Más de 4.000 alumnos nos eligen cada año. Entra en grupovaughan.com.